We're going to begin in South Carolina, where voters are set to head to the polls tomorrow for the Republican presidential primary.
Yeah, GOP frontrunner, former President Trump, is looking to brush off a challenge from his last remaining Republican rival, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley. Haley has spent days leading up to this primary touring her home state, hoping to pull off an upset here right before the primary. But polls have shown Trump with a large lead heading into Saturday. With a win tomorrow, the former president will inch even closer to a likely rematch against President Biden this November. We have a full team coverage this morning with NBC's Bree Jackson in Charleston. But we begin with NBC News senior national politics reporter Jonathan Allen. John, good morning. Thanks so much for being here. So there was more than a week of early voting that came to an end just on Thursday. So give us a lay of the land here. What's the state of both the Trump and Haley campaigns heading into the primary?
Yeah, good morning. Look, I think the easiest way to explain this is that Nikki Haley a few days ago did a press conference instead that she was vowing to stay in the race after South Carolina through Super Tuesday, which is the first week of March. You typically don't have to go out there and say that unless you're expecting to lose this state. So I think, the Haley campaign expects to lose. The Trump campaign expects to win. I've spent a lot of time in South Carolina during the course of this campaign. And what you find is that there are plenty of voters who like Nikki Haley enough, but this is really Trump country. It's a state that he has been dominant in, certainly at the general election level, and he was dominant in 2016 when he first ran in a competitive primary, and not much has changed.
You know, Jonathan, here's the thing. Trump is looking to pad his delegate lead. He really hasn't been doing a whole lot of campaigning, frankly, in South Carolina. What does Nikki Haley need to do, even if she doesn't win this primary, which it seems like everyone expects she's going to lose, but how does she even remain competitive moving forward?
She needs to upend the table. Like someone's sitting there with a game that's not going their way. They got to throw it up in the air and see what she can do. I mean, the truth is she can't win the Republican nomination without winning states. And right now, there are not any states on the board that she's leading in. There are not any states on the board where she says she can win. She really needs, not just a little bit of a shakeup here, but a complete reversal of what's been going on.
John, let's talk about the RNC. The former president's daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, who he has endorsed as co-chair of the Republican National Committee, said this week she thinks GOP voters are interested in the RNC footing Trump's legal bills. What's your take on that? Any indication that that's the case?
It's definitely true that GOP voters named Trump would like the RNC to foot Donald Trump's legal bills. What is not clear is that other Republican donors want to foot Trump's legal bills. So while it may be okay with the electorate that wants to see Donald Trump win broadly, the RNC has had tremendous difficulty raising money. Donald Trump's campaign has had tremendous difficulty raising money. And part of that is that very wealthy donors do not want to give him money just to hand it to his lawyers.
All right, Jonathan Allen giving us the giggles this morning. Thank you so much, John.
Well, South Carolina played a pivotal role in launching President Biden to victory in 2020. So there should be no surprise that campaigns are fighting for support from key demographics, including black women. NBC News correspondent Bree Jackson is in Charleston, where she sat down with some black women voters ahead of tomorrow's primary.
Vicki, Stephen, across the country, black women are a key voting bloc. The same goes for here in South Carolina. I sat down with a group of women in Charleston to have an open conversation about the 2024 election. Charleston, South Carolina, known for its rich history, culture, picturesque streets, and politics. Just by a show of hands, who's excited for the 2024 election?
Excited.
We gathered this group of black women voters ahead of the state's Republican presidential primary. Their backgrounds, ages, and political views vary, but we found many of the same issues drive them to the polls.
Women's maternal health. Someone my age may not have the same rights in terms of reproductive health that a generation before me had.
Also top of mind, crime, student loan debt, and state efforts to ban books.
As an African-American literature professor, that is something that is very concerning.
There are concerns about the overall political climate.
It's divisiveness, it's opposition, it's social issues being politicized.
Despite dividing his time between the courtroom and the campaign trail, former President Trump leads the state's former governor, Nikki Haley, by double digits.
I am more so dismayed with the fact that in the year 2024, we would even consider someone who is under indictment.
At 81 years old, President Biden also faces challenges.
His age is a huge barrier.
Black women, a key voting bloc, but far from a monolith. Each one here voicing their own views.
Table discussions like this where we are comfortable and able to speak in layman's terms, to bring up issues, to get a little bit messy around the topics.
A conversation turning to action this election cycle.
We got to vote. We have to vote.
And tonight, former President Trump is scheduled to be the keynote speaker at the Black Conservative Federation Gala in Columbia, South Carolina. In Charleston, South Carolina, Bree Jackson, Stephen, Vicki, back to you.
All right, Bree, thanks so much. And we will have full coverage of the South Carolina Republican primary led by our colleague, Hallie Jackson. It gets underway tomorrow night at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, right here on NBC News Now.
Well, this morning, former President Donald Trump is pushing to get the classified documents case against him thrown out. In 4 separate motions, the former president's legal team argued in papers filed in federal court in Florida the case should be dismissed, citing presidential immunity. This all happening despite a federal appeals court rejecting that argument earlier this month. The motions also argue that Trump should have been able to keep the documents that were in question even after he was president because of the Presidential Records Act.
Now, you might remember Trump pleaded not guilty to 37 criminal counts related to his handling of the classified materials last June. Meanwhile, in New York, the judge who presided over the civil fraud case against Trump and his company rejected his attorney's request to delay payment of the $350 million judgment plus interest against them. Well, Trump is expected to appeal that ruling, but would have to post a bond first of the full amount of the damages before he actually does that.
This morning, more clinics are pausing IVF treatments in Alabama following a court decision that ruled fertilized frozen embryos are considered people. It is causing concern among patients. It's forcing some to leave the state. NBC News senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett has the very latest.
IVF patients in Alabama devastated, furious, and scrambling as more fertility clinics abruptly stop IVF procedures. Gabby Goydell has spent $20,000 on fertility treatments. 3 miscarriages later, she's hoping to create embryos with her husband, Spencer, as soon as possible.
I'll take my 6th round of shots tonight.
But her clinic, Alabama Fertility, informed her it was putting all new IVF treatments on hold.
I just broke down into tears. I really was inconsolable. We just started calling every clinic that we could think of. I'm not stopping this cycle. I've already been through too many shots, already invested too much time and energy.
So she's packed her bags, jumping on a plane to Texas, now scheduled to complete her fertility treatment at a different clinic there. While Megan Cole and her husband Walker received word that the embryo transfer scheduled for her surrogate this Friday couldn't move forward.
It's just completely crushing. So
now she says the clinic won't release their 7 frozen embryos for use elsewhere.
We are not allowed to transport them out of Alabama right now. Basically, everything is shut down. So even though these are apparently my children, I don't have access to them.
How much money do you think you spent?
it's close to $250,000.
IVF now accounts for roughly 2% of births in the U.S., but the Alabama Supreme Court's ruling creating legal liability for destroying embryos in the state has left the medical community in limbo.
One of the worst things is how many questions it leaves unanswered,
leaving clinics with a difficult decision. Mobile Infirmary says it has no choice but to pause all IVF, while Fertility Institute of North Alabama says we're still going to perform IVF as we always have. Please do not panic.
Our thanks to Laura Jarrett for that report. Alabama Supreme Court Chief Justice Tom Parker, who issued this ruling, has voiced his support for a philosophy that calls on evangelical Christians to reshape society based on their interpretation of the Bible. In an online broadcast, Parker says conservative Christians are meant to rule over key areas of American life, including education, government, and media.
Well, this Alabama decision is once again putting a spotlight on reproductive rights ahead of this year's election. NBC News correspondent Dasha Burns has more on the political impact of the court's ruling.
In the wake of the Alabama Supreme Court decision ruling that embryos are children and really impacting IVF care in that state, reproductive rights have once again been thrust into the political spotlight, with some Republicans managing their messaging on the issue and some Democrats using it to rally voters. The fallout from the Alabama Supreme Court decision extending to politics, with some Republicans attempting to walk a fine line on reproductive rights. On Wednesday, Nikki Haley asked about the Alabama decision by NBC News' Ali Vitale.
The Supreme Court there said that embryos created through IVF are considered children and are offered those same protections. Do you agree?
I mean, embryos to me are babies.
Later, appearing to walk back those comments.
I guess my question is, you then disagree with the Alabama Supreme Court, right?
Yeah, but I think that the court was doing it based on the law. We don't want fertility treatments to shut down.
Reproductive rights have become a thorny issue for Republicans since the fall of Roe v. Wade, with the vast majority of Americans supporting access to IVF. A survey from Republican stalwart Kellyanne Conway's firm showed 78% support, even among those who identify as pro-life advocates. CPAC, an annual gathering of conservatives, women we spoke to were in full support of IVF.
Why would they stop doing that for people that are having difficulties becoming pregnant? That's disturbing to me. And I'm no abortion. I'm pro-life.
Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville also reacting.
Do you agree with the Supreme Court decision or not?
I'd have to look at what they're agreeing to and not agreeing to. I haven't seen that.
Democrats, meanwhile, seizing on fears about the future of reproductive rights. President Biden posting to X, "Make no mistake, this is a direct result of Donald Trump ending Roe v. Wade."
On the one hand, the proponents are saying that an individual doesn't have a right to end an unwanted pregnancy. And on the other hand, the individual does not have a right to start a family.
Now, former President Trump has not yet weighed in on the issue, but on the campaign trail, he does repeatedly tout that he was responsible for overturning Roe versus Wade, while at the same time claiming that he wants to find consensus on the issue of abortion and reproductive freedom.
Wow, so much fallout there, Dasha. Thank you.
Well, we are learning new details this morning about what possibly caused that massive AT&T outage impacting tens of thousands of customers. The carrier says the disruption was likely caused by a process error, not a cyber attack. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz has more on just what happened.
AT&T, one of the largest wireless carriers in the country, going down for some customers, unable to send or receive any calls or texts.
As soon as I woke up this morning, it was gone.
The outage lasting for hours.
Didn't have any service. I need to make some phone calls.
The company saying wireless service is now fully restored, but the FBI and Department of Homeland Security are investigating. The Bureau saying, should we learn of any malicious activity, we will respond accordingly.
I think a lot of people right now are asking, how does something like this happen?
Unfortunately, the technologies that we use are becoming increasingly complicated. This highlights the dependencies we have on very complex systems.
Some emergency departments urging people not to call 911 unnecessarily. Massachusetts State Police saying they were flooded with calls that clogged their system as people tried to test their phones.
Lexington 911, where's your emergency?
This Kentucky 911 dispatch center had normal call volume, but says the outage is a good reminder to have alternate modes of communication.
It's not a bad idea to have a landline available.
The outage impacting people from coast to coast.
My messages weren't sending. I wasn't getting anything. Today's my birthday, so I want to call my mom and stuff.
In Los Angeles, Uber driver Time Johnson feeling a difference during the morning commute. What have you noticed?
It's just been really, really slow. So I'm thinking it may be the outages because people can't order their Ubers.
Security experts saying the situation reveals potential vulnerabilities.
I think it does show, though, that we need to really be thoughtful about, as we adopt these technologies, as we become dependent upon them, that there are fail-safes, that there are rollovers.
A stark reminder as our reliance on technology only grows.
Our thanks to Liz Kreutz for that report. Several federal agencies, including the FCC, are working with AT&T to learn more about what happened. But gosh, it just shows you how dependent we are on our Wi-Fi networks.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a break from my phone, so I can see the good side, but not being able to call people on a birthday.
Oh, for sure. If you work and depend on that, like those drivers. Wow.
Yeah, we are at the mercy of that technology. Well, we're also at the mercy of Mother Nature. The East Coast is set to get more wet weather. For more on that system and how it may affect our weekend, let's get your morning news now forecast.
Hi there, guys.
Hey,
Good morning. Good morning to you guys. We finally made it to Friday. We've got a little bit of rain out there, stretched up and down the East Coast, really. That's the pinpoint of where we're going to see the slick, kind of soggy conditions for our early morning commute. The rest of the country, honestly, looks great. So let's focus on what's going on from the mid-Atlantic to the southeast and up into the northern portions of New England. That's where we do see a bit of a wintry mix. We see some rain stretched across places like Boston, Hartford. The farther north you go up into New England, though, it is falling as snow. So we will see, again, a little bit of the difficulty when it comes to that morning commute, but that's really it. This system's going to push out of here pretty quick, and we'll see the snow, the rain start to clear the mid-Atlantic and the northeast coast here as we get into the second half of the day. But if you're headed out maybe in the next hour or so, the umbrella likely is going to be needed. A couple of afternoon thunderstorms possible across parts of the southeast, so heads up there. It'll mainly be portions closer to the coast, but we could see some of those stronger storms developing. One thing is we likely will still see some lake effect snow happening even as we go into the evening hours downwind of those lakes, but nothing really all that impressive when it comes to accumulation snow-wise. Rain-wise, not all that impressive either, but it will give us a good dose of some showers from Charleston to Norfolk. We could see maybe 1/4 of an inch up to 1/2 of an inch. Really just kind of that pesky rain that interrupts our early morning commute. Big picture look as we roll into the weekend. Like I said, really kind of nice conditions across the country. No real big major storm systems that are going to interrupt travel or plans, especially outdoor plans. For folks that live in the south, the one thing you'll have to make sure that you note, temperatures are going to be quite warm for this time of year. We've got upper 70s in southern portions of Texas as we head into your Saturday. The middle of the country, places like Kansas City are expected to head to the low 60s. That, of course, not the typical temperature for February, but that's where we're going to be. Even as far north as the plains, the northern plains, I should say, we'll see plenty of sunshine and temperatures in the 50s, 60s, running 10 to 15, even close to 20 degrees above normal for this time of year. California, good news for you. Sunny, dry for your Saturday. You'll continue to dry out here. And the only spot that we'll watch is a little bit of some chilly conditions across parts of the Northeast as that cool wind starts to usher in. It's going to be a really pleasant day, though. By Sunday, we'll still be dealing with the near record temperatures across the middle of the country. And then, unfortunately, we're going to gear up for another storm system out west. Now, Sunday, mainly for the Pacific Northwest, that's where we'll see a little more snow, a little more rain. But by the time we get into late Sunday and into Monday, we're watching another system, a developing low that will move closer to California. This is Sunday evening, so by the time you get out the door early into Monday morning, you could be once again dealing with some rain across California. One thing to note, this doesn't look quite as strong as the last systems, but it will bring some more rain to folks in Southern California who've had a slew of problems from this really soggy kind of winter season that we've been dealing with for months. LA likely will hit their wettest February on record. We've got about an inch of rain to pick up in the next couple of days in order for that to happen. But we'll also see some additional snow, guys, across parts of the Cascades, the Sierra, and the Rockies. So picking up some snow, picking up some rain, and I know that's not what folks want to hear, of course, out in California, but we've got some sunshine to deal with between now and then for folks there.
Yeah, we love the Friday, Saturday, and it took a little turn on Sunday, but we'll take it.
It always does. Monday, come on.
I know.
Yeah.
The Mondays.
Get with the program. Yeah. All right, Angela Aspin, thanks so much.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.